What's up, everyone? We have got just about 10 people in the chat to start the stream here. Benicio's not here yet. I'm not sure he will make it tonight. We haven't heard from him, so hopefully he's okay and everything like that. Hopefully he's able to hop in. But otherwise, we'll run with the three of us that we have so far. So it's Nikki and Joe tonight and myself. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Pretty good. Good as can be.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nikki, how's everything going with everything since you told everyone what's going on and everything like that?
Got my chemo port yesterday. Sore, staying in my jammies today, so just laying around doing nothing.
Hopefully comfortable.
Ooh, not very, but
No.
it's okay.
Yeah,
I did find out that I start that on the 29th, so I at least get to get past Christmas. So.
Okay. Good. And Joe, how about yourself? How's everything going?
I'm doing good.
Work busy with the holidays?
Oh yeah, right now we're swamped with work, so it's been really busy, pretty much chaotic.
Okay. So. I'll probably call you tomorrow and we could talk about the movie if you watched it yet.
Of course I did.
Okay, cool. We'll talk about it tomorrow. But speaking of that, I know Joe and I are almost at 50 movies in 50 weeks. So when we do that, we'll probably do a live stream sometime in January for that. So that should be a fun.
Yeah, at least let us know everything you watched and how horrible they were.
There's been some really bad ones, but there's been some good ones. And it's just fun. Like the biggest thing, the whole point of it is just a opportunity to talk to Joe on the phone every week. So, I mean, there's been, at this point, it'll be 50 weeks. It's almost an entire year. So there hasn't been a single week that Joe and I haven't talked on the phone when you break it down.
Yeah.
It's good. You need that. You need that fellowship, that accountability, just to be able to talk to somebody. I'm in a much better place now, but when I was struggling, it was nice to be able to talk to Joe because I didn't have anybody else I talked to. So one of those things. And we'll talk a lot about that, I'm sure. But tonight's about Antwone Fisher. And the movie Antwone Fisher, we'll be talking about resilience. And I've got some notes. I'm sure Joe and Nikki might have some notes or some things they wanted to talk about with the movie. Once we finish that, I'll of course I'll try and keep up with the chat a little bit, and then we'll break down. I have 8 questions tonight, pretty deep questions. I really think the topic tonight will be pretty heavy. Some of the stories and conversations that we have, but it'll be a good conversation. So I'm looking forward to it. All right, let me catch up with the chat. We've got Corey in here saying, sorry, I can't jump in the chat tonight, but love you all and hope you have a great night. Corey, I appreciate you hopping in. He's actually doing a live stream of his own as well tonight. Nikki's in the chat saying thanks, Corey. Love you too. Joe is in the chat saying thanks, Corey. We've got Alex Movie Hunter saying, hey, evening everyone at work, but we'll try to keep up when I can. Appreciate you being here, Alex. We've got Prince in the chat. How's recovery, mommy?
Not recovering yet. Working on it.
Tony's in the chat. Basement Blues.
Hey, Tony.
It's my guy.
Hey, Tone.
Just saying hi. Have a good stream. Jess says, hello, everyone. My whole family is watching in our living room. Looking forward to the conversation. Yes, Capri said that she had her in-laws, I believe, come out this weekend.
Oh, Lord.
Or week.
Boy.
So
New people watching us tonight.
Yeah, so she's with her husband, the babies, I think maybe her mom probably, and some others. So let's be on our best behavior for Caprice and her family.
Yeah.
How's it going, Bobby Blue? We got Adrian here. Appreciate you being here, Caprice. Thanks. Even though you got your family and everything, I appreciate you hanging out. Happy holidays to everyone. What's up, Tony? Thanks for being here. Tony's been here, I think, last month as well, and maybe the month before that, but appreciate it. And just Allie saying hi to Caprice. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the movie for a little bit. You want me to get started and kind of just hopefully get a talking point going on?
Go for it.
Joe, I'm sure you have a lot to say about the movie, probably more than I do because it hits closer to home for you. One of the things I wrote down, though, in an asterisk was talking about channeling his anger and energy. I think it's when Denzel Washington tells him, you've got to learn to channel your anger and energy into something good. And that hit home for me because especially when I was younger. I feel like it's gotten better, but my mom and sisters would so much, and they still do it to this day. Especially now that I'm seeing someone, they're like, "Watch your anger. You better watch that temper and all this stuff." And I'm just like, why is it only you guys say this stuff? It makes me think like maybe you guys are the ones that make me angry. But I it hit home when he said talking about channeling his anger and energy because I think that is true. It's I read a book called Good and Bad Anger, it was called once, and it talked about how not all anger is bad. Like,
Right.
and I think there is truth to that. And I think it's learning, like he says in the movie, how to channel your anger into something positive. And yeah, it's just different things. I think he says to him, right, Joe? He says it could be boxing or fighting, or is that a different movie I was watching? But he says, like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you just got to channel it into something, whether it's not fighting, street fighting or anything, but like
Yeah.
boxing or the gym. He says working out, I think
Yeah.
something like that. So I think there's,
Some sort of outlet.
yeah, I think there's truth to that, you know? You don't want to lash out, and I think it's easy to lash out. And so sometimes you need to walk away or find, like you said, an outlet.
I agree with that. A lot of times with anything. When I was younger, I had a lot of anger issues, and I used to channel them the wrong way. I used to get into a lot of fights. When I was my son's age now, when I was 8 years old, I was suspended 15 times for fighting in school, and I was just I not a hellion, but I always carried a lot of weight on me. So the smallest little thing, I just started fighting, and that's how I was for a lot of years. Not even years, decades. That I did just a lot of fighting because of that. It was
Yeah, I
good to
was.
find. It was always good to find different ways to try to channel into different things with music or with movies. That like I always say, with I get tunnel vision when I watch stuff or listen to music. Same thing. I always try to find something different.
Yeah, I always found it easier to do that than lash out at people. I
Hmm.
mean, the lashing out's easy. Like hate is so easy of an emotion that it's love that's difficult. So the hate's so easy. You can harm somebody just without even trying most of the time.
Yeah,
Because
it's
if
it.
you have any type of hatred on you, no matter if it's even the person you're aiming it at, it's hurtful when it comes out.
Yeah, because
So
you don't have to hurt anybody with physical anything
yeah,
physical or fighting. You could just do it with words or one word sometimes, and you can
yeah,
hurt somebody. So
I talk a bit about that, like even in my last relationship, I would never be physically abusive. But even when I raised my voice or we were arguing, I feel like that can be taken as being emotionally abusive or angry and then lashing out, things like that. And I felt like that's something I don't want to bring into my relationship now because I have a good one. And it's like, you don't, it's kind of like my mom says, hey, don't ruin it with your anger or
yeah,
temper. You know what I mean? So I think there is truth to that. It's like, hey, you can lose something when you lash out or get angry or whatever. And it's easy to do. And then you'll and it's like, is it worth it? Was it worth it? No, of course not. Usually it's never worth it.
no,
well, I always told the kids, raising the boys, I always told them, every feeling you have is a legitimate human feeling. You're allowed to be angry. You are allowed to be upset. You're allowed to be completely and totally pissed off. But you're allowed to also be happy. But it's how you react, because the only thing you're in control of is your approach or reaction to every single situation in your life. You're not in control of somebody else's stuff with that. That's all you are in control of is yourself in that. You are only in control of your approach to a situation or your reaction of somebody else's approach. You and as long as you hold yourself accountable for those things, you usually make the right decision. But if you're not holding yourself accountable, you will make the wrong decision, hurt
yeah,
somebody in the process.
that's why, like I've said before, I'm very easygoing now. I'm very laid back. I'm a more go with the flow kind of person because I was never like that when I was younger. I tried to suppress everything inside of me. There's times that, even to this day, I'll get upset about something or something will happen, and I'm the type of person that I have to walk away. I have to
Right.
walk away. I have to be left by myself to calm down, or I'm just gonna blow up, and I just need to be left alone. Leave me alone. Let me go outside. Let me sit in a room by myself and calm down, and I'm fine. But you can't pick at me because I'm like I've always said, I have a very long fuse. But if you keep on lighting it and shutting it off, lighting and shutting it off, I'm gonna blow up. And
Right.
sometimes I'm not gonna blow up on the right person. You know what I mean? I've
And
gotten into
sometimes you don't know exactly how short your fuse is that day.
yeah. And
Yeah.
like I said, I've taken out aggressions on people that barely set me off, and I've created a lot of harm to somebody because of that, and I've just taken everything out on that person that set me off at that last piece of fuse that I had.
Yeah.
So I've learned to calm down because of it, because like I said, I don't want to hurt anyone, and I try to be a better person because of that.
Right.
Speaking to the I don't want to hurt anyone. See, I'm not to say I'm the opposite, but when when somebody says something to me because of my short temper and short fuse and where I could go 0 to 100 really fast, I'm the type where I'm like, okay, I was hurt. I need to get them back twice as bad as they did me. And so I am capable of saying some of the meanest, most hurtful things to somebody. And that's something that's in me of like, I know I'm capable of it, of just damaging and burning a bridge. And there's times where on the flip side of that, though, there are times where I feel like I've said stuff to somebody and they feel like I'm being rude. And I'm like, I'm just speaking facts. And I'm just telling you, as a friend. And I think there's levels of that. I think you need to know somebody well enough. I think, but I'm always the type of friend, if I'm close enough with somebody, especially, and I see you doing something wrong or you're being lazy or something, I'm going to call you out. Joe and I have that kind of relationship, always have and always will. And
Hmm.
Joe's called me out and I've done the same. And we've never gotten upset about that. I just think some people, not to be disrespectful here, but some people are just too sensitive too. And
Right.
they don't respond well to constructive criticism or somebody telling them they're in the wrong or something like that. And I personally just think some people need to be smacked across the face and woken up sometimes. Like, hey, what are you doing, man?
Or
You
called
know?
out.
Yeah. Um, there was a quote in the movie, Joe, and I know you'll like this one, when he says to him, he lashes out kind of in the office to the guys. He's like, is he fixing you and all this stuff? And he's talking to the other people. And then he goes in the room with him and he says, I don't know what to do. And I wrote that quote down. I don't know what to do because I've been there where I'm like, I don't know what to do. I mean, when I was struggling back a couple months ago or in the summer or early fall or whatever, I remember texting Nikki actually, and I was like, this was the hardest thing I had ever texted, but I was like, I'm not okay. Like, to admit that or say I don't know what to do, it's hard to get to a point where you can actually admit that. That's hard. And I've been there though of like, because I think men just hold it in so much and hold so much in, we just don't talk about it. And then sometimes it's just like you break and you're just like, I don't know what to do. I've just got all this going on, and you just don't talk about it because we're trained that way and we just don't do it. Joe, I'm sure you can relate.
I can
And
I
relate.
mean, and even after you text that, it was still 2 weeks before you called and actually told me what the problem was. So
yeah,
you
it's
just
just it's
you
hard.
steam capped it a little bit,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to do. I love that though, because I've been there, like where sometimes you just need to, I don't know what to do. Tell me what to do, I think he says, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just tell me what to do. I mean, it's his therapist, so yeah, he's talking to him, and yeah, that was a good one. Um, and then speaking of that, yeah, um, hmm. I wrote, and I'll come back to some other stuff. I wrote, it's hard for men to open up, but Denzel's character was patient with him and just waited. And he said, like, your sessions don't start until you talk. And then I wrote, I feel like we'll open up in our own time, but slowly over time. We just need patience. I feel like opening up is probably one of the hardest things for a man to do. So it's about being patient. And even when he finally started to talk, it was hard. Like you saw, he tiptoed around it. He was just a couple words and everything like that. It took a long time for him to open up that way. And then even after he did finally open up, it took a lot for him to finally go and address his issues and also go and face his past.
Right.
Yeah,
And he was never considering finding his family.
no,
Wasn't
And
even
that-
crossing his mind.
and that's the thing with even with me, it took almost 27 years before I ever even talked to anybody about it. Even when I went to therapy when I was 8 years old, I never really talked to the therapist. I just went there and he asked me questions and I answered them and I kind of tiptoed around the thing. I looked at it as I didn't want help. I wanted to figure it out myself, and it took a lot of years for me to even open up about anything about my past or anything like that. Just for sometimes I feel like people don't understand or people just wouldn't understand what I went through, or sometimes like, why does anybody care? That's always been my thing.
Joe, I wrote down here, another thing I wrote down was, I also feel like how someone responds to you opening up will mean everything. So like, if you have a woman in your life, right? Like when you open up, and it is the heart, like for the women out there watching the stream, like it is one of the hardest things men will do to break down walls. And some of the best women, those women in your life, can help you break down those walls, but it's hard. It's not easy. Okay. Like for any man to do that, most men, I should say. And how you respond when a man is vulnerable or breaks down means everything, because
It can make or break your trust.
for some men, women have used it against them in the past, in past relationships, or not even relationships, of a moment you're vulnerable and it's used against you. It has the capability of shutting a man down forever, to not want to ever open up again. And some women will use it against you when they're upset later on, or they'll laugh at you for it, because men aren't supposed to be vulnerable. And I'll go back to Caprice really quick, but she had said, like, and I loved what she had said. This was so good. With her husband, she wants him to understand it's okay to be vulnerable, and it doesn't make him any less of a man. And I think that is so important for men to understand, like, to have a woman in your life who's going to say, you're still a man completely through and through it, but I want you to know it's okay to not be okay, or to have moments of breaking down, and I'm not going to judge you or look down on you for it.
It's a good way to be. Me, I've always had that tough shell that it takes a lot for me to crack and to open up to anybody.
Yep.
And it's something that I've tried working on throughout the years, but even until probably like the last 5 years, I started talking more about different things that happened to me and stuff like that. But it's still tough to talk about, because it's just things I really don't like to. I never really liked to say, like I said, because I felt like nobody would care, or I never wanted to be not judged, but I don't know what the right word is. Just
categorized.
Yeah, or looked at differently, or a different light.
I think I agree with that, Joe, because men in particular can be judged really easily for being vulnerable. Like it could be a woe is me. It's like, no, me breaking down and not being okay in a moment is not a woe is me or pity party. That's not what I'm looking for. But we can internalize it as people looking at it that way. And like, I'm not looking for attention or any of those things. Like, if anything, it's the opposite. That's why I keep it in, because I don't want that. So I get where Joe, like, I agree with Joe on that, especially.
That, and I always, as I said on the last stream, I'm more of a fixer. So I've always been the type of person that I've kept my feelings about myself to myself. But I'm the type of person that I like helping people and trying to. I'm the type of person that I'll listen to anybody's problems and I'll try to help them. But it's hard for me to reciprocate that, to open up to somebody and do the reverse of it. I feel better trying to help somebody than somebody trying to help me. If that makes any kind of sense.
Does make sense. All right, I wrote down a lot right here. This is a whole paragraph. If you don't mind, I'm going to read it. There was so the relationship with Joy Bryant, his girlfriend in the movie. I love that relationship. It was small. It wasn't a big part of the movie. However, what I wrote down is she didn't push him. She listened. She was patient, and she was there for him. And I think that's important as a man needing a woman in his life that's not going to push him, but is there for him when he does finally decide to open up. And I think that relationship was perfect and painted that perfectly. And when he wanted her to go with him and be with him, she was there for him. And she didn't push the issue of, hey, what do you talk about in therapy with him, or what is going on? It was, she was there for him in his time. And I think that was great. Sometimes it's not your girlfriend you open up to. In the movie, he opened up to his therapist in particular. It's different for everyone, but this is why men need other men. I wrote, there's just some things we can't say, and that's just the truth. And there's some things that women can't say to a man, and they need other women in their life. I think women need women and men need men, and men also need women and women need men. But there are times where you need your boys, and there are times when you need your girlfriends or your husband or whatever. I just think there's moments for everything. Um, there's just some things we can't say. I think what a lot of women don't understand about men is that here's the biggest thing, and I'm sure Joe, I'm curious if you'll agree with me on this. We keep things in because we don't want to worry or scare the women we're with. And I think that if a lot of women knew the things that we battle or we have in our head or the voices that we have, it would terrify them and it would scare them, and they would internalize it and want to fix it or to help in ways they can't. And so as a man, and I think every man is different, but as a man, I want to provide for my girlfriend. I want to protect her. And I feel like it's my job to take the stresses that she faces away from her, not me put my stress on her. As a man, I feel like it's my job to protect her and to be there for her. Not to say she's not supposed to be there for me, but I don't want to put that on her. I don't want her to know the things that I face or the battles in my head or anything like that. It's my job as a man to protect that from her.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I feel the same way because when it comes to that, I feel like men at being as a provider and have to be like, even most of the time it's the head of household and everything, and I look at it as you have to be that rock for everything around you. You're the glue. You have to be the glue that keeps it all together. And a lot of times you do things quietly or in the shadows, or you don't want the people around you to worry about bills or money or things breaking down. You have to be the person that tries to figure it out, fix it, and not worry about it, or that person worrying about it, and then you guys are constantly talking about it. Sometimes, like with me, I don't like to talk about it. I'd rather just find a way to fix it. I don't want to sit there and have a pity party going back and forth with somebody about, oh, we have this problem, we have that problem. It's like I'm not that type of person. I'm the type of person that just there's a problem, we have to figure out a solution.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to sit there and drown in a pity party trying to be sad about it. I'd rather find a solution and get over it,
Yeah.
get
I,
over
I
that hump.
I wrote, we deal with it in silence to protect the ones we love.
Yes.
And I also wrote, that's why we have our boys. You know, they can understand differently and aren't going to worry or feel like it's their fault or they have to fix us. I can go to Joe or I can go to Adam, and everyone's different. My relationship with Adam is different than Joe's, and my relationship with Tony is different. Like Tony's going to make a joke, right? Like that, and that's what how a lot of guys are. We we make a dark joke about the situation, and we laugh, and it's just I I understand if I'm falling apart or something, or there's something I can't talk to Becca about, I could go to Joe and talk to him, and I'm not I'm not scared that I'm going to put that on him. Like he's not going to internalize it. He's going to be there in a different way, and there's just something you can't go to your girlfriend, spouse, wife about because you don't want to freak them out. So I wrote, I keep things in to prevent my girlfriend from worrying about me. It's my job to protect her, is what I wrote down.
Yeah. I was I was like I was as I was saying, last last year was like one of the worst years that I've had in probably 10 years. That it all started with, and as you just said, you know, I hurt my foot last year in September with a piece of metal, almost lost my foot. I hit it for Marie for over 4 days to the point that my foot started turning purple and I could barely walk. And I almost lost my foot that they had to cut a good chunk of it off, but I still went to work 12 hours a day, standing on concrete, barely could walk because I have to take care of Marie, I have to take care of my son. And I worked through all that pain, and I didn't say nothing until it came down to I felt like I couldn't hide it anymore because she started wondering, why is Joe limping so much? And then when I ended up in the hospital, I was out of work for almost 3 months because I waited so long because as a guy, I hit it and I didn't want to worry anybody. I'm like, I can figure it out myself. And I couldn't. I ended up in the hospital because of it. And then it just, a big snowball effect happened for over a year of one thing after another going wrong. But, it was a lot that I had to work through. But, I don't like to worry anybody about what's going on. I just try to figure it out on my own and just let everything work out pretty much.
And I on the top of that, I don't want to lash out. And when I'm stressed out or I'm in a bad place, I don't want to put that on someone else for one. And I don't want how I handle that situation to come out wrong on somebody else. And I think it has the capability of doing that if they don't
Mhm.
understand what you're trying to convey.
Yeah, a lot of times with me, I get really quiet, and a lot of times that's not good neither. Because me, when I get quiet, because my brain's constantly thinking, and I'm trying to figure out ways to fix anything or correct anything. So sometimes it's just I get super quiet about it, and then that's when people know that something is wrong or something has to be. Joe's trying to figure something out.
Now, Nikki, how do you feel about what Joe and I said? Because I know Joe and I have similar sentiments on that. And you, from a woman's perspective, where do you stand on that and how men shut down and things like that? Because you're married.
Well, 15 or 18 years ago, I would have agreed with everything you said. And still to an extent I do because you're in that situation. However, when Tony broke his neck and couldn't work anymore, our table got flipped. So I was head of household. I went and started doing all the things that, taking care of the bills and make sure the money was coming. As you all know, I was working 3 jobs up until 12 weeks ago. And that's probably what took me so long to go to the doctor and find out about all of this stuff, is just because I know what this is costing my family, me being out of work. I mean, I'm still working very little now, so but I knew what this was going to be. I knew what kind of a situation this was going to put me in. So
I mean, I don't mean to dive deeper into that or anything, but it sounds like you said, the tables were flipped,
hmm
and now you feel how we feel in a way. Like you don't
hmm
want to burden Tony, and you don't want to worry him.
and he's been exceptionally great through all of this with me, but I've already been that for him through his surgeries during the time that he was waiting to get his spine surgery for the broken neck. He lost a kidney. He went through a lot of other stuff, and it's like, so now we're in a worse position because the strong one can't be strong. So
Right.
however, I will say that, he's been excellent through all of it. He does all the things that I did for him back then for me now, and you know I couldn't ask for a better partner in this, but I didn't want to go through it. I postponed it for way too long, as we know now, but
Yeah. I'm gonna catch up with the chat if that's okay.
Go
sure.
for it.
All right, here we go. Tony says happy holidays to everyone. Ellie says Caprice. Hello there, Caprice. Cinema Main is in the chat. What is up? Thank you for being here. We've got Caprice saying hello, Adrian, my darling. Marie says have a good live stream. All yeah, people need someone to talk to. I get it. Merry Christmas, people. We've got
Merry
Prince
Christmas,
saying
Marie.
today's menu for me: Sniper, White Raven, and Sisu. And Joe, we watched Sniper, White Raven. I
Yes,
don't know
we
if you
did.
remember that one.
I
I'm cooking.
definitely do.
Jeff is in the chat saying good evening. It's like a tongue twister, the John Doe Juggalo, and I always want to call him Jeff, and then I end up calling him Joe or John. What's up, cool kids? Johnny is in the chat. What's up, Johnny? I hope you're doing well. We've got Adrian saying, hey there, Jeff. Hey again, Johnny. Yo, Adrian, what's up, everyone? We've got Eli in the chat. What is up, man? Hopefully you're having a good night. Hey, Eli, how you doing? Hey, Adrian. Doing awesome, bud. Thanks. Hope you're doing well as well. Don't forget to hit the like button. Eli says, what's up, Eli? Lots of Johnny just saying hi to literally everyone. We have got Anthony in the chat. What's up, everyone? Antwone Fisher is so damn great. It perfectly depicts how hard it is for men to open up about our insecurities. Well, there you go, right there. And Ellie watched it last night. I don't know if you saw. Joe, you don't have Letterboxd, but Ellie gave it 5 stars.
Yeah, I saw that. I did see that.
Very
I
impressive.
did not see that.
Also, to piggyback on Anthony's comment and Allie's review, Anthony reached out to me last week and said, hey, are you guys doing Antwone Fisher tomorrow, like the Resilience stream? And I said, no, next week. He said, okay, I just want to make sure so I could show Allie the movie. Anthony, you wanting to be here and wanting to show Allie the movie if Allie hasn't seen it or vice versa, I can't speak on behalf of anybody else, but it means a lot to me, Anthony, genuinely. Like, I really appreciate you taking an interest, not just wanting to be here, but also wanting to like do the homework, so to speak, for the stream and watch the movie so you know what we're talking about. It means a lot to me. You know, I'm one of those people who I keep a lot in, but like, you know, that stuff I appreciate. I appreciate it a lot. So I just want you to know I appreciate the ones who watch. Like, I'm one of those people. I don't do it for the views. I don't do it for money. I do it for the people that are watching, and I want to make a difference and hopefully have a conversation that sparks something. Anthony just saying, Johnny. We've got Ellie saying, I'll never understand why society has made men feel like they're not supposed to talk about their feelings. You're human beings. Therefore, you have every right to talk about how you're feeling.
Absolutely.
And the thing is, I think people like Allie, Nikki, Caprice, even my girlfriend, I think I'm trying to think of like a bunch of women, but women like yourself make it easier for men to want to open up because of the way you treat us. And like, I think it's important as a man, and I'll touch on this again, like Caprice had said, it is okay for you to be vulnerable. It doesn't make you less of a man. And I think a man needs to be reassured of that, because it's like, I don't want to open up and then have it look like less of a man or something like that. And that's one of my biggest insecurities. It's like being vulnerable or admitting I'm struggling, and it's like, oh, what does that make me look like? And I got that.
I just want to give my husband a safe place to be able to let it out, because if you let it out somewhere else, you're liable to either get yourself in trouble, say something to hurt somebody, ruin a friendship unnecessarily. So, but I think men need a safe place to get it out and to be reciprocated with enough respect to be able to just say whatever it is they need to say. Even if it's an inappropriate moment or whatever, I think a man should have a safe place to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think every man, Joe, I don't know about you necessarily, but I think every man, one of the biggest things he wants is two things, like peace and a safe space, and also to be respected and appreciated. And honestly, if I have those things, I don't need anything else. I'm a simple guy. Like if I'm appreciated and I have a safe space to go, I don't need anything else. I got the world right there. Like you won the lottery if you get that.
Yeah, I just like peace and just you know, not even I don't even have to be happy. I just want to be like you said. I just want a safe space and just feel like the people around me appreciate me and appreciate the
Mhm.
stuff I do.
Well,
I think as a
I had
man,
I had a friend that went through a divorce one time, and she called me up and she said, "Tell me if this is all an illusion and a fantasy." And I said, "What's that?" And she said, "Romance and happiness." And I said, "Oh, honey." So romance is, hopefully you enjoy some time you get to spend with your significant other. I said, but there's really not a whole lot of romance left in the world, at least not what we were taught was romance. I said, but now happiness, I can tell you how to get. Understand that happiness is moments in time. It's not a lifestyle. Contentment is a lifestyle. So as long as you're content where you are, you can be happy with that. And she was blown away. She said, "No, that's not enough." I said, "Well, in this world we live in, that's about the best you get.
I feel like
Happiness is moments in
contentment can
time."
be dangerous too, though. If you
Yeah.
become too content especially in a relationship, you stop having growth.
Mm, you can still enjoy your time, but be content that it's work every day.
Yeah, I want to
Because that's
be
really what it is. It's work every day.
I want to be happy and be comfortable with my girlfriend, but never too comfortable that I stop growing.
Right.
And I want to
As long as you're willing to put in the work that it takes to go through life every day.
yeah. Yeah,
If you want the partner there with you, you have to be content to be with that person and go through their BS too. No matter what hill
yeah.
they're climbing today, you have to be content enough with them to climb it with them and help them up sometimes.
Yeah, I just think there needs to be growth in relationships. Otherwise it becomes stagnant. And I think eventually that gets boring and dry. And if you don't keep growing or learning about the person you're with or going on dates or keeping it exciting or passionate, I think that's how relationships die or beginning of like the death of it. It's like find ways to be exciting, like laugh together, have fun, go on dates, whatever it is. Like I think laughter is important and
Laughter is very
having
important.
a good time with the person you're with. Like just I know when I'm with my girlfriend, like I laugh a lot and I'm not somebody who laughs a lot. I feel like I'm a pretty serious person. And comedies are probably my least favorite genre, but like I get to have genuine laughter and a genuine smile. And I feel like that's something I haven't had for a while, and that's important. Because it's easy to fake something, but what's the point? Like then you're
Right.
not happy. It's like faking a laughter watching a comedy because you're watching it, so you feel like you're supposed to laugh. So it's like, and you fake that laughter. It's like, no, I want to have a genuine laugh because it's funny.
Right. Well, and I mean, there's no point in living an illusion in any way, because you still have to look yourself in the mirror, and if you're not content and happy with who you are, then you're never going to be that for somebody else. So
Yeah.
you should never fake it.
Hmm. And I think the thing with a lot of people too is there's like this illusion that men or women think everything has to be perfect. And the moment you hit a bump in the road, it's easy to be like, it's probably easy to just be like, I don't want this. I'll find it somewhere else. And you're never going to find that perfectly all the time with somebody. Like, yeah, you might find it for a month or two again, but what happens when you deal with that in that relationship too? And then you go finding it with somebody else. All you're going to do is just hop around if that's what you're looking for, because that's not,
But if that's what you're looking for, you're being unrealistic anyway.
yeah, that's not
Because
reality.
the other person is a person too,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
And
And
you're
they're gonna have days,
yeah,
just like you have days.
you've got to find the person you're willing to struggle with, and the person that you want to struggle with, and you want to, not to say you want to struggle with, but you want to go through life with the tough, the good, the bad, the ugly, the loss, the hurt, the pain, everything, all of it.
Yeah.
I keep reading here. I too thought the relationship between Antwone and his girlfriend was so beautiful and healthy. I love the way she'd let him feel what he was feeling and just supported and comforted him. I think that's important. What Ellie said at the bottom there in particular was she let him feel what he was feeling. And that goes two ways. I think as a man and a woman, you need to let the other person feel what they're feeling and be there for them. And Ellie couldn't have said it better. Cheryl reminded me a lot of Ellie. Anthony says she never pushes me to open up. Ellie just gives me the opportunity to open up to whoever, whenever I need to her, whenever I need it. And yeah, I think that's the big thing. It's like patience, understanding. Anthony will get there, but in his time. And maybe it's in small bits, maybe it's all at once. You just never know. I think when you push too much, though, you can lose a guy, or you got to be just careful about that. It's got to be in his time. Prince says, I don't know if you had no idea, but you just saved me from hurting myself again. Bob, remember that time I thought you were giving me a deadline when you were recommending movies? Yeah, I was crying. I'm sorry, Prince. Let's see here. Johnny says, yeah, April and I had been married over 20 years. It's still hard for me to open up to her completely. Exactly. It's hard. 20 years. 20 years. Prince says, like, yeah, you're right, but you promised me to never bother recommending again. Otherwise, I would be a disaster. So thank you for saving me from thinking negatively about everything. I tried, Prince. I'm only human. I'm sorry. Johnny says, with the crown, as men, we conceal and carry on. Sorry, conceal and carry on. Yeah. Agreed, Prince says. And I was asking for at least 3 months for Joe. He's not a good listener. Oh, Joe. Since then, I had a lot more inside. Let's see. Nancy is here saying, hey, guys. What's up, Nancy? Don't let Bob lie to you all. He'd trade peace for a Titans Super Bowl win. Maybe. How many months have you been with your girl, Prince says? I wonder who he's talking to. Joe? He might be talking to you, Joe. How long have you been with Marie?
9.5 years.
Okay. And then Gary's 8?
Gary's 8.
8. Okay, I thought so.
Yep.
Anthony says, yeah, I rewatched Antwone Fisher with Ellie last night. I just haven't logged it yet. Yeah, Anthony, you've been behind because I see Ellie log a movie and then you don't, and I get upset because I can't read your review. So you better get on that. Sometimes I like to sit on a film for a day so that I can gather my thoughts. That's fair. Just make sure you write it. Eclipse Ava, is that your granddaughter?
Yes, that's Ava.
Hey, Ava, how are you? I was talking about you, Bob, about the months. Oh, me with my girl? 2 months. We started talking like 2.5 months ago, maybe, or something. 2 months ago. So early on, but it's going well. Johnny says, no, Bob, you kept mentioning girlfriend. We assumed you had a girlfriend. I do have a girlfriend now. And we got a lot of Christmas parties. Being family divorced, you do one with them and one with my mom, one with my dad, then one with the whole family, and then her family. So there's a lot of Christmas parties. All right, let's see here. Don't forget to slash the like button. Thank you, Eli. All right, I got one more thing I wanted to say, and you guys could touch on anything else or piggyback on what I have to say or anything. I wrote, this is where I know Joe will have a lot to say, so I'll allow him to have his moment. Um, I wrote a quote down. It doesn't matter what you tried to do. You couldn't destroy me. I'm still standing. I'm still strong. That's what he says to the woman that watched him, that beat him. And I love that quote. And then when he talks to his mom and he says, like, and Joe, we've had this conversation on the phone, and I'll let you have the whole conversation here in just a second. But when he says to her, like, I don't have any children. I'm not in trouble with the police. Like, I'm a good kid. Like, that's a powerful scene. And it probably has to be one of the most powerful scenes in any movie, and just heartbreaking and heart wrenching. And I'm sure, Joe, I'll let you talk about it. I'm sure you have a lot to say about that scene in particular, if you want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, as I said before, I'm not sure if I said it before on stream or anything, but Antwone Fisher is literally the hardest movie I've ever seen. I watched it once when it first came out, and I cried almost for 2.5 weeks after watching that movie. I didn't talk. I literally shut down because I didn't believe what I saw. Because his life and my life were pretty similar, except for the military. I was never in the military, never did any of that, but everything else is pretty damn close. So it really, it's like seeing a piece of your life on screen and not realize, especially when you find out that it was written by Antwone Fisher and it actually happened to somebody else. And it's tough because as he had Mrs. Tate that, that he said that to, I had my mother left when I was 4 months old. My dad left when I was 5. And I grew up with my grandmother. And my grandmother she took care of me, but, she didn't work. She was on SSI. She had emphysema, and I got welfare because of my dad, being in the military and stuff, and she couldn't work. So I grew up really poor, Toys for Tots, Salvation Army toys, as far as I remember. And I started working at 10 and a half years old, like I said, to buy my own clothes, buy my own bike. And my grandmother really, she gave me like the bare necessities, but she was always really mean to me that she she was married and she stayed married all the way up until she died in 2001, but they were divorced, legally separated. But he was really bad. He was, as I said before on one of these streams, he was a pedophile. And she still stuck by him, even though he was like that. He went to jail twice. And he left when she took me in, but she always threw it in my face of, nobody wanted you. If it wasn't for me, you'd be in a foster home. And she always made me feel bad of, if it wasn't for her, nobody else would want me. So whenever I wanted anything, like when my dad finally died in '86, she got some money from the military for that. I'm like, oh, I was all excited because even though I wasn't excited that my dad died, she was getting some money and it was supposed to be for me. And I'm like, I finally get to buy a car so I can get to work and this and that. And she's like, no, that's my money. I took you in. This, that, and the other. Similar to what Mrs. Tate did with the money that he had to go to the movie. It reminded me of that. Because my grandmother, all the money that I made, she took it from me. Even when I was able to buy clothes, when I went to school, I was, trying to be the ladies' man in school, and girls were like, oh, you look like a rainbow, blah blah blah, because I bought whatever I could afford, and my clothes didn't match, and I got made fun of in school, and why I got into a lot of fights because I had so much anger. I just started taking that out on anybody. I wouldn't hit a girl, but you know, if a guy started with me, I was the one who was finishing. And it was really rough for me. You know, my grandmother was like that my whole life. Or she was always mentally abusive to me. She was physically abusive to me. And, you know, like I said, I worked and then I paid for my own way to go to the Rhode Island School of Design for architecture because I wanted to be an architect. And I had to drop out in my third year. My grandmother got sick and she made me feel guilty again. She was getting really sick. I had to leave school, get a second full time job to get her a nurse, a hospital bed. I the girlfriend I had at the time, she left me because I took my grandmother in. And I said, you know, as she told me, nobody else wanted me. I have to take care of her now. And I dropped my whole life for my grandmother till the day that she died, and I took care of her. And, you know, it kind of ruined a little bit of my life because, you know, I spent all that money on school. I never got my architecture degree to make a better life for myself. And I gave it all up for her because she gave it up for me and she made me feel bad. So it was really tough for me. And I resented her for that because regardless of what I did for her, she always made me feel bad like it's my fault. So it was really tough. And the thing with him and his mother, that same thing happened to me when I was 21 years old. That when I was younger, I used to watch Maury Povich all the time, and they used to have like, you know, kids reunited with their family, and I used to always cry, and I wanted that to happen. I wanted to meet my mom, especially after my dad died, because I had no family, and I spent money, found a private investigator, and they found my mom in Vancouver, Canada, and I wanted to surprise her, so I got on a plane, went to Vancouver, Canada, knocked on her door without her knowing, and she opened up the door and she recognized me because I looked just like my dad. And she closed the door behind her. She came outside. She goes, "Nobody knows about you. I want to keep it that way. You got 5 minutes to cut off my property before I call the cops." And I told her, I'm like, I pretty much said the same thing that Antwone Fisher said to her. I said, just to let you know, my dad died. I just wanted to meet you before you died, and I wanted to see if we could have a relationship. And I understand that you don't want that, but I just want to let you know that, you know, I'm all right. I went to school, I went to college. I don't have any pastor kids. I never went to jail, and I'm okay. You know, I don't understand what you did, and I will never forgive you for what you did. But if you don't want a life with me, I understand. And I left, and I hated her my whole entire life. My mother died last year, 3 days before Thanksgiving, and it killed me because I never had that time with her, and it really hurts a lot. So I just wish I had my mom because I don't have any family, and she was the only thing that I always hoped that one day she would change her mind and come to me. And then I find out she dies 3 days before Thanksgiving last year, and it broke my heart. And it's because every once in a while I looked her up and I saw her obituary, and I broke, and I just, like I said, and that's why family's so strong with me, and I'll do anything for my son because nobody ever did that for me. And like I said, I if anything ever happened to my son, I would hurt anybody that hurt my son because I wish somebody fought for me when I was a kid. Everything that always happened to me and all the bad things that happened to me with my dad and my mom and my grandmother and everything. It just, I hated it. And like I said, I was very angry a lot. I tried to commit suicide when I was 8 years old. And I fought my whole life, similar to Antwone Fisher's, that nobody's going to break me, especially after everything that's happened to me. I always look at it as it can't get any worse of what happened to me. And I fight every single day just to try to be what I, for what I have. That's why I always tell everybody, I don't have a lot, but I'm happy with what I have because when I was younger, I had nothing. So, you can't always look at what other people have and what other people, you want those things. You just got to be happy with what you have and enjoy the people around you because, you know, those people are there. They chose to be around you for a reason. And your family, you know, and if you have your family around you, enjoy your family because one day they're going to be gone and you're going to regret that you didn't spend that time with them. I regret every single day that my mom or dad wasn't around. And my dad was a bad person, very bad person. He's killed people. He got deported from the U.S. for killing somebody at 18 years old. But even my dad, I wish I would have known my dad. And I, but my mom was the one that's the one that really, really killed me. And like I said, kills me to this day. I don't think I'll ever get over that. And that's why a lot of times in these streams I say that I'll I'll never feel like I'll get any better. I'm a lost cause. It's because I'll never get over it of what happened to me. And like I said, that I never got that closure with my mom. Because even when I said all that to her, similar to Antwone, his mom never said nothing. My mom just turned around and walked back in the house and closed the door. So it's really tough.
Appreciate you opening up, Joe, about that. And I know it's not easy to open up, but
Like I said, I've never really said that to anybody, especially people close to me I have, but I've never really opened up about the things that, like I said, I have enough. I could write a fucking book. Sorry for anybody who has kids around, but trust me, I could write a book with the stories that I could tell you of a lot of the stuff that happened to me. That some things I've never shared with anybody just because it's just not good. But I deal with it and I just hold it in.
Joe, I wanted to read some of the comments, people responding to what you said there. Let me touch on it really quick. Capri said, "My mother-in-law and mom are tearing up listening to Joe. They're about to go to war for you, bro." Tony says, "Appreciate you opening up, Joe. Your experiences made you who you are today, truly genuine at heart." We love you, Joe, Allie says. Johnny says, "We love you, Joe. Your family is bigger than you think." And obviously, as cliche as it sounds, I mean, family is what you make it, right? Like you have your blood, people you grow up with, but Joe, you know your family. And Caprice also says, "I love you, Joe. You are so loved by so many people." And Jeff says, "I'm so thankful to have met you, Joe. It's been a positive impact in my life."
Friends are the family you get to choose.
Yep. Agree with that. Nikki, did you have anything you wanted to add or say or anything like that before I catch up with well, I think I caught up with the chat for the most part. I have a few more comments I was going to read, and then I had some questions I was going to ask.
I just want to say, Joe, if ever you need to talk, you can get my number from Bob.
Joe, I appreciate you opening up, man. I appreciate you being vulnerable. I know it's not easy, and I know.
I never like to look weak.
Yeah, and I, as another man, you're not weak because you open up, man. Like, not at all. If anything, it's the opposite, man. You're strong for opening up.
It's like
It's brave to be vulnerable.
it's like I said a while ago. As with Antwone Fisher, it's somebody that dealt with something almost identical to me. Like I said, besides him being in the military and me not, it's two people that dealt with it. So I look at it as, there has to be other people like me that dealt with the same thing that I've dealt with. And sometimes it's it's good to open up because so people don't feel like they're alone in dealing with it. Maybe me talking about, and the only reason I talk about the things I talk about is if I can help somebody in any way, you know, go through it and, live to fight another day, I would. That's why, like I said, when I was younger, I used to give 20% of my pay when I had no kids, no girlfriend to March of Dimes and Shriners. And I used to go to burn centers and work with kids and do anything I could just to make somebody's life better than mine. And that's what meant something to me. So that's the things I've always cared about is if I can make a difference in somebody's life. I think that's why most of my life, the people I've always put around me are people that have issues as well. And those are the people I open up to the most because I look at it as I want, if I can help them, I feel like I did something. I did something with my life. If that makes sense, I look at it, I can't pick myself. If I could pick somebody else, I'll feel better about myself for making a difference in somebody's life before I'm
And
going.
just for somebody else to catch this on a whim and know that they're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
If that's enough help in the world, that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Joe, that was the whole point when I reached out to you and Nikki and we started this series was like, I wanted to do something. I love listening to some podcasts. Like I'll go back to it, Nikki, the Shia LaBeouf and John Bernthal. But like, I love back and forths, like one-on-ones where people have real conversations. Like Adam said, real people, real topics. And I've reached out because I wanted to do something that made a difference where we could. It's a movie channel. I get that, but I wanted to talk about. So we relate it to a movie, but we talk about what the movie means to us and talk about a topic and allow us to get deep and have real conversations. And I want to make a difference, even on YouTube, and do something that matters. And that's exactly what Joe was doing right there and talking about it. So that's what's important is making a difference and doing something that matters. Whether it's YouTube or whether it's in my career or anything like that, I've always wanted to do something that matters. I don't want to just stroll through life and not make a difference in somebody's life. So that matters. So I get where you're coming from, Joe, completely 100%. I'm going to catch up with the chat and then get into the questions. And Joe, a lot of the questions are probably relating to stuff you already talked about, so feel free to talk or whatnot. Johnny says no one tells Johnny that his best buddy has found someone. Johnny, you'll always be my best buddy. Don't worry, buddy. Okay. Anthony says I don't cry too often, but Joe has made me cry a couple times now. This is one of those times. And then a couple weeks ago, I just randomly thought about Joe's story, and it made me cry then too.
I'm sorry.
I'm sure he's not upset about it at all. You're one of the strongest people I know, Joe. You've been through so much and you turned it all around. You're a great husband, father, friend, and person. You should be very proud of yourself, Allie says. Caprice says, same, Anthony. It's been the same for me. And Caprice did reach out to me and she said, Joe's story, I never knew I could relate like in aspects, and I never knew his story, and it meant a lot. So she felt like she got closer to you through hearing your story. Anthony says, you're one strong man, Joe. You should be very proud of the life you've created for yourself and your awesome family.
Thank you, everyone. Like I said, and I've talked with Bob about it. Sometimes you take things day by day. Some things you got to take it minute by minute just to try to get one foot in front of the other. And no matter, someone saying Antwone Fisher, no matter what life throws in front of you, you know, you got to be strong and not let it break you, and constantly fight to better yourself and do whatever you have to do for your family or for a friend or for anybody sometimes. And it just comes down to if you want to be that type of person. And that's a person that I try to strive to be.
And Joe,
I think you're trying to build for your family, Marie and Gary. I think you're trying to be for them what you would have hoped you would have had for yourself.
And I've said it before in live streams. I waited till I was in my 40s to have a kid because I never wanted my kid to grow up like me or to be around some of the family members that I had that I pretty much disowned by now. That I honestly, wanted my family tree to end with me. I felt like my tree isn't just a bad dead tree and it should end, but because of when I had my son, pretty much a lot of my family members are dead or I haven't talked to in over 20 years that they probably don't even know that I have a son. So I'm kind of glad about that because there's still family members out there that two of them that I know of that live in Massachusetts that I haven't talked to in since 2001 that I would do anything that from them never even to find out where I live or even know that I have a kid. So it's just things that I always try to do and protect.
and
Because you don't want him exposed to that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, Joe, honestly, I feel like you could relate to that comment so much. Like when I hear it, I think of you. Is what I'm trying to say. It doesn't matter what you tried to do. You couldn't destroy me. I'm still standing. I'm still strong. And I think of like basically what you were just saying relates so much to that quote right there.
Yeah, when I was younger, like I said, I tried to give up because I didn't know if I could deal with it. But after that happened, I just I became a workaholic and I put everything into work and striving to be a better person and to work as hard as I can to get away from everything. It's like a lot of times, your first thing to do is to flee. When anything goes bad or there's things bad around you, the first thing you want to do is, you know, waitress, check please, I'm out of here. And that's what I wanted to do when I was younger. I had so much bad around me and I felt trapped that I just wanted to work as hard as I could just to get away from all of it and just be able to be self-sufficient on my own. That's why to this day, and I think why for many years I never talked to anybody. I've always been, since I was 10 and a half, I've always been independent. I've always done everything on my own. I never relied on anyone. I never relied on family. I've never relied on friends or girlfriends or anything to take care of me. Even to this day, Marie's like, "Oh, do you want anything for Christmas?" I'm like, "No, anything I want, I buy. I don't, I don't want it. I never want anybody to do anything for me. I feel like I want to do things for other people. I never want anything So it's just, I don't know, it's just in my nature. I don't know. I get, I feel bad if anybody does anything for me. Because, like I said, sometimes I just don't feel like I'm worth it. So I'd rather be the type of person that does things for other people. I feel better that way. It's like somebody
You
when
should
they get
always
up.
you should always have a gift under your tree your son gets to watch you open, though.
Yeah, usually Marie has him make something for me to open up, and that he gets excited about me opening. But I never want anything store bought. Even birthday cards or Christmas cards, my son makes them out for me, and I I'm the type of person that I would rather you make something for me than buy something for me.
Right.
I just feel like there's more heart in it. So I like when my son, draws me pictures and stuff like that. That means more to me tenfold than anything else. So
I get that.
Adam says saying hi came in for a moment, but we'll catch the replay. Stay awesome, everyone. And it's
Hey, Adam.
Adam's birthday today.
Happy
happy
birthday, Adam.
birthday, Adam.
I guess his age is like 40. I'm gonna put him on blast right now. I'm gonna say he's 48 or 49. He wouldn't mind me saying that. All right. Questions. Question time. In what ways can you relate to Antwone? And Joe, I feel like you shared a lot about how you can relate to Antwone a little bit ago. I don't understand. This is a new update this stupid thing has, and it shuts the timer. There's like a timer on it, and I click timer off, but it still seems to shut off. So I don't understand why. But in what ways can you relate to Antwone? For me, I think the ways I can relate to Antwone are more about the anger. Yeah, for me, it's more about the anger and how he suppressed a lot of that, and then he would lash out, like having a temper. I can relate to Antwone in that aspect a lot. Snapping on people, wanting to get in fights. Somebody said something, and it's just like a switch flips in my head, and just want to just pummel the guy. That's how I can relate to Antwone, and learning to suppress that anger and channeling the anger and energy into something good. That is something I'm learning, and that quote in the movie stuck out to me the most, probably.
I think I can relate to. I can relate to you always want your parent, no matter how old you get. He gave his mom kind of an easy way out by just letting her cry it out. He walked out and left her there. Just as Joe said, his mom just shut the door and went back inside, but you never get too old to want your parent. It's been a lot of years since I've spoken with my dad. It's been 6 years since I lost my mom, and you never get too old to want your parent. So I think I can relate to always still wanting to have someone to parent you. Maybe not even parent you, just be there, know you're there. And I think that's what everybody wants from a parent, is just to be noticed by their parent. They never want to be forgotten.
Absolutely agree with that.
Yeah, like I said, I would have been just happy if she said, that she's proud of me after I told her that, but I didn't get nothing. So I think sometimes just, I just wanted that validation from her. And when she didn't give me that, it made me feel like I haven't done enough or accomplished enough in my life.
Yeah,
Lost, Joe.
Nikki, hearing you say that, and Joe touching on it, when I ran that race, and I talked about this briefly, but like when after I finished the race, and I called my dad, and I was like, I finished it, but I came in last place, and he's like, I'll never forget. He's like, I don't give a shit if you came in first place or last place. You finished, and that's all that matters. And I'm proud of you. And for me, hearing my dad say I'm proud of you, especially at that age, it just meant the world because I feel like those are words like I love my dad. I think he's an incredible man, and I think he gave me a good example of what it looks like to be a man. But there's flaws in him that I picked up, like not wanting to talk about your feelings, and also he's not somebody who says like I love you or I'm proud of you a lot. It's just and honestly, like my dad and I just don't say that a whole lot to each other. But hearing him when he said that, it meant the world to me to hear those words. It's something I've always like longed for is to give my parents a reason to be proud. Like I've heard other people say it, but I'm like, I want to be able to be proud of myself. Like look in the mirror and be like, okay, you became the person I want you to become. And I feel like until that, like it's hard to believe when other people tell you it. And I know I'm not the only one that struggles with that. Like it's like saying to somebody you're pretty and them not believing it. It's hard to believe if you don't believe it yourself.
Right.
All right. Joe, did you want to piggyback on anything? No? Okay.
No.
Let's delete that one here. I'll catch up with the chat after this comment. I figured out how to turn the timer off. Who in your life demonstrates resilience and what do you admire about them? I wanted to touch on this myself because I wanted to talk about my sister for a moment. When I was writing this question, this is what popped in my head was my sister. I'm going to get real personal, and hopefully this is okay to share. I'm trying to think of what's okay and what's not. Well, she shared it on Facebook and she went through it, so I'm sure it's okay to say all this. When my sister and her husband were trying to get pregnant, she couldn't. It was the worst. And I think something that women trying to get pregnant, a lot of people don't understand the struggles and how it can affect some women out there who want to be moms and cannot get pregnant, and how it can affect them. And you want to be happy for those around you when they're getting pregnant, but it can be really difficult. And being around my sister my whole life, seeing the kind of mom that my mom was, I knew the kind of mom my sister would be. I knew she would be an incredible mom. And so it even broke my heart to watch my sister struggle to try and get pregnant and couldn't. And you blame yourself, a lot of things like that. But she started taking like IUI and IVF, I believe is what it's called. And it took about 2.5 years from when they started, but she finally got pregnant. And now she has 3 amazing children. And I'm so proud of her because that was a huge demonstration of resilience, because it's not easy to go through that. And I'm very proud of her for it. I say this all the time. I'll say it to anybody. I think my sister is one of the best moms out there. She's incredible. It's not easy to be a mom. They do a lot. They're probably not appreciated as much as they should be, especially from their kids, maybe until we get older. And my sister did an incredible job at doing that. And even my girlfriend, she's a single mom, and she's tough on herself, and she's an incredible mom. And those are things that I think women don't get the credit they deserve, but also it's not easy. And I think it's taken for granted, especially kids. We take our parents for granted a lot, especially when you're a young kid. And it's just not easy being a parent. I see it. And I just wanted to talk about my sister for a little bit. So what do I admire about her is how she stuck with it. She went through the struggles, never let it destroy her. And when it finally happened, she became an incredible mom, and she didn't let it break her. She didn't let it ruin her. And yeah, I just wanted to, when I wrote that question, honestly, that's like the first person that popped in my head. Her, Joe, I could have said, and honestly, I could say my girlfriend too, and she's tough on herself. It's not easy to be a mom, especially a single mom. And it's a hard job, and it's just, you're probably not appreciated as much as you should be for it. So I just wanted to talk about that for a moment.
The person in my life that I think has bounced back the best from her situation is my friend Kathy. Um, she had aggressive breast cancer, and she's just bossing up her life, and I love it. She does 5 years in remission. She's doing great, and she's an amazing person. She's like a huge support for me right now as well, so that's real helpful. So,
I mean, Nikki, when we did the stream, I mean, I said it to you on the phone the other day. I was like, what? It seems like you in particular, though. We pick a series and a topic, and then it's like it relates to you so much. Like right now, what you're going through, like fear, obviously, and now resilience. Like you're gonna have to demonstrate a ton of resilience in what you're going through.
oh, I hope so. I hope I can, because right now I'm just mad. I'm just mad.
I think you have the right to be. It's like you said earlier. It's okay to be mad. It's okay to not be okay.
I mean, it's legitimate human feelings, but right now I'm just totally ticked off. All of it, mad every day.
Joe, how about you?
For me, I was gonna say it had to be a boss that I had for almost 34 years that I worked with. He was somebody that when I was younger I looked up to and I learned a lot from, and he went through a lot in probably like the last 10 years with his wife dying of stage 4 cancer. He had a son that became a really bad heroin addict, and he had that his son's girlfriend that was trying to recover from heroin. They had a 2-year-old son, and she locked him in the room with Cheerios with her other kid while she went to go get methadone. When she came back, he choked on his Cheerios and died at 2 years old. So, and he went through a lot. And that was all like in a 4-year span. So, with his wife dying, his son becoming an addict, and then losing his grandson at 2 years old, he went through a lot and fought through it. And his son ultimately going to jail and that girl going to jail. But he's somebody that I always looked up to because, he had a lot happened to him, and he really fought through it. And like I said, just the different ways that he dealt with it, it's something that I always looked at with him. So he's somebody I always looked up to because of that. Even though I've never told him, but maybe one day I will.
I'll catch up with the chat briefly here.
I'll be right back.
Okay. I might have to use the bathroom for a minute as well. Rob Jonesby for life, y'all. Joe, you are a winner. Stay blessed, Joy says. Life is hard if you keep being turned down by people, rejected by affection, chat, needs, etc. It will break you. Example, break me. Honestly, Prince, I don't think Joe doesn't watch tennis. So
no, that's for me. He texted me the other night and we had like an hour-long conversation about tennis, and
Nikki,
my answer to that is Steffi Graf.
Okay, Nikki, I thought it said Joe. My bad.
It's okay.
All right. How can you begin to build resistance in areas where you feel weak? I guess I'll start with this. So Nikki, I give you a moment to, if that's okay with you, think about it. For me, I think it's struggles I face of gosh, some of my questions are hard. Where can I begin to build resistance in areas where you feel weak? For me, it's consistently disciplining myself to be able to day in, day out do it. And sometimes I set a lot on my plate, and I overwhelm myself, and I'm not the only person who understands it. A lot of Nikki, you told me that. I try to accomplish so much, and there's only so much time in a day, and so I need to learn to prioritize my day better and set realistic goals and not overwhelm myself. And I guess I can build resistance in areas of consistency and learning how to fail as well, being resilient and coming back after you fall short of something. I guess that would be a good way to answer that question of that is an area that I'm weak, is falling short and failing. I just don't know how to do it and not do it well, at least. And that is something that I can learn from. Is it's okay to fall short. It's okay not to be a perfectionist. It's okay not to be perfect. You're going to fall short. You're not perfect. And I struggle with that. So I can learn to build resistance in those areas for sure.
Yeah, I think the hardest part for me and all that is when I fail at something. I don't like to revisit. So where I can begin to do it is consistently trying again. Being better about trying again.
Yeah. Agreed. Did you piggyback on what I said, or was that something you kind of felt like you answered
Well,
that?
I mean, that's what I would have said anyway. I mean, I would have said,
Okay. So we
my
both had
hardest thing.
similar answers to both of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. It's learning how to fail and how to get back up and say, okay, I fell short. Now, what did I do wrong? What did I do well? And how do I succeed next time? And understanding, okay, you failed, but that doesn't mean you quit, or you failed, it doesn't mean you give up. You failed, get back up, figure out what went right, what went wrong, revisit it again. Like you said, learning how to revisit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big time.
Just try.
Big.
And I can try again, but knowing that was my result sometimes takes me a long time to want to try again.
Yeah.
I don't want to put myself out there for another failure.
Yeah, it's hard. That's tough. That is tough for sure. Joe, how about you?
For me, how can I answer? Read the question again because I can't see without my glasses.
How can you begin to build resistance in areas where you feel weak?
Resilience.
Oh, resilience. Jeez, my bad.
How can it's with me? It's pretty much just not giving up. Similar to what you guys said, it's just not giving up and be willing to fall on your face and fall flat and learning to pick yourself back up from it and learning how to better yourself and to sometimes look at the people around you and see what they do, and not even if you want to talk to them or ask questions, sometimes just watching people around you and people watching, figuring out what other people do to make yourself better and figuring out ways to not pretty much fail at different things. And it's one thing that I do. I'm a big people watcher. Sometimes I'm quiet. I'm the quiet guy in the corner watching everybody and seeing what other people do to better themselves or I like to listen to a lot of different things. Just try to find ways to make it through the day or make make my life or the people around me's life a lot better. So that's a good way to do it, I feel.
I'm going to use the bathroom here, but I'm going to ask this question. Joe, you touched on this earlier. We talked briefly about this. If you had the opportunity, what would you like to teach others about being resilient? Joe, I'll let you obviously take that because you were talking about it earlier that you just want to make a difference.
like I said, with me, I like, and it's something that I didn't do before, but I try to talk about myself or talk about my story now to try to help other people, or I try to just help people in general with anything that I can, so people don't just go through what I went through, or like I said, just trying to make a difference in somebody's life. And if, you know, it's I you know I always look at it as, something I've always thought about. It's like, you know, sometimes I think to myself, like, why me? And it's things that I've seen in movies as well. Like, some people think of, like, why were you put on this world for? When you end up dying, it's like, what was your purpose? And I always feel like, because of the stuff that went wrong with me, I feel like sometimes my purpose is just trying for people not to go through what I went through, or people breaking the cycle in their lives to not repeat what happened to them. Because a lot of times that's what happens. You know, when things go bad with you, or you end up like that, sometimes you fall into that same rut and you become that person that you hated. And it's one thing that I try never to do. And sometimes you see people fall into those pitfalls in their life. So, you know, like I said, when I look back on my life, I just want to look like, if I helped one person with anything, I feel like I served some type of a purpose. So that's what I look.
You're a survivor, Joe. And I think you're building yourself the life that you've always known you deserve.
Yeah,
You quit waiting on other people to give it to you, and you went and got it. Congratulations.
thank you. Like I said, I every day when I see my son with a smile on his face and he's happy and he has what he wants and he's happy when he sees me, I feel like I'm doing something good, because he's not like I was when I was. And and those are the things that I live for, and what keeps me going every day. Because, like I said, for a lot of years, I didn't care if that was my last day on earth. I lived like it was every day. I lived like it was my last day. I got into, like I said, from when I had my motorcycle doing 150 down the highway, splitting cars and everything else. I got into an accident. I didn't. I got into a lot of fights that I've, had screwdrivers pulled on me. I've been stabbed before. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. I I just lived day by day, and this is how I was. And now I live for a purpose, and not just for my son, for anybody that I can help. And that's the one thing that I try to do, is give some type of opportunity to somebody, that everything's going to be okay. If anybody's going through what I went through, or you know things will get better. Maybe not 100%, but enough that you just got to keep on fighting, and say to
You now have
yourself,
things to look forward to.
yeah, and say to yourself, you know, I don't deserve this. I deserve more, and do whatever you have to do to get that. You know,
Yep.
don't ever think that the sky is the limit. There's no ceiling. If you're willing, if you're willing to give up everything and to fight for it, you can do it. And I'm an example of that. Of you know, I grew up dirt poor with nothing. I lived in one of the worst areas in the city of Worcester, Massachusetts, full of prostitutes walking in front of my house and drug dealers and gangbangs and shootings all the time. And I fought every single day, being bullied and fighting and dealing with everything. And I struggled my whole life to have the things that I have, and I never gave up. And if I can do it, anybody else can do it. It's just you have to be able to want it. That's why a lot of times when I see things now of people always mean about, oh, this, that, and the other thing, when I see Instagram reels and people boo hooing, it's like, if you're willing to fight for it, you can do it, but don't look at, don't look for the first handout because that's never going to make you better. If you,
It says in your Bible that anything that you think you deserve, you should have worked for. So
yeah,
I mean,
and that's
it,
why
it
even
comes
like,
down from there, you know.
and that's, I say it to Marie all the time. It's, I don't want anybody to give me anything. I've never taken a handout from anybody, and to this day, I won't take a handout. I tell everybody, I've told her many times, I don't want nothing from anybody. I if I can't do it on my own, I don't want it because I want to be able to look at myself in the mirror at the end of the day and know that I did it on my own and nobody gave me anything. I and I've lived my life that way, and I'll live my life that way till the day I die. If I don't have anything, I don't care because I know I did it by myself, and I did it without compromising myself. I could have, when I was 14 years old, the person that my dad worked for, when he sold drugs, offered me my dad's job and said, I'll give you money, you do this for me, you'll have a car, I'll give you this, that, or this. I could have had an easy life. I probably would have been in jail or dead by now,
Right.
but I could have took the leg up and I didn't. I wanted to do everything on my own. And it made me appreciate everything that I have around me because I did it myself. Nobody ever gave me anything. And I feel like sometimes when people give you things, you don't appreciate what you have. Because I've met plenty of people like that, you know, friends of mine that had money or their family had money, and they don't appreciate the things that they have to the extent of somebody that worked hard for
Right.
it. And, I say it to my son all the time, be good with your toys and the things that you have because, you know, even though you didn't work for it, I worked for it. And I worked hard to give you the things that you have. Appreciate
Mhm.
what you have because not everybody has those things. And I'm trying to teach him values like I have. I had to learn those as I went through life. I didn't learn them right off the bat, but as years went on, I learned little by little. So
I agree, Joe. I think especially as kids, like I had the luxury of going on a lot of vacations as kids. My parents took us on a good amount of vacations, and I remember as I got older, my mom would tell me like, uh, "I hope you appreciate these now because it won't happen forever," kind of thing. And I think as a kid, it's so easy to take that for granted. Like we don't, as a kid, you don't understand the money that goes into taking a kid to Hawaii or something like that. You just enjoy Hawaii. Now, as an adult, wanting to do these things and then even having dating somebody who has kids, I'm like, I understand the hard work and the cost and sacrifice that goes into that. And you definitely want the kids to appreciate it because you work hard for that. But I
Right.
also understand it's hard for kids to appreciate it because they don't understand how much money it costs and the work and taking time off and all those things. But I get where you're coming from is with that though.
yeah, even with my son, I don't. Even though I spoiled my son rotten, I never give him everything. for the sole purpose of I never want him to feel like it's there. You know, if I bring him somewhere and he says, "Oh, I want to do this or I want to do that," I'm like, "Oh yeah, one day we'll do it." But I don't jump out and do it for him because I want him to know that not everything in life is going to be handed to you, and not every time you ask for something you're going to get it. You
Right.
have to understand that it's you have to earn it. You can't think that every year we're going to go to the beach or every year we're going to go to Disneyland or something like that because I'm doing that for you, because you're not going to appreciate that as because it's always done for you. I want you to know that when things happen, it's a special event. It's not just another Thursday or another Saturday. And so I try to teach him that because, like I said, when I was younger, I valued all those things. And I want him, regardless of what I can do for him, I want him to realize that nothing is ever going to be given to you. Similar to what I grew up, nothing's going to be given to you. And not everything I'm going to give to you, because I want you to realize, like, times that he'll break a toy, he'll ask me a week later, "Oh, can you buy me another one?" I'm like, "No, you just broke that. You're not going to get another one. You should have valued that, and you should have took care of it. You got to understand. Even though I could buy it for him, I'm not going to, because you got to learn. You got to appreciate the things that you have, because you're not always going to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy come, easy go on everything.
Yeah.
All right. I think Joe handled that question. I don't even have anything to say. I'm
Sorry.
good. No, you're fine. Don't apologize. But Nikki said, or I'm sorry, Nikki. Marie says Joe won't even take my advice or suggestions.
No, I
All
don't.
right. Let's see here. I feel like some of the questions are similar, and then at the end I have a little game I want to, not a game, but something different I want to do with you guys. Let's see.
I'm not getting naked.
No, you don't have to get naked.
He said we ain't doing strip movies tonight.
Nope. I'm not getting naked either, Joe. Not tonight. Describe a significant setback and how did you get through it?
Mm.
Well, for me, I'll think about the time I ran my 50 miler and I failed it. It took me 6 years to get back out there, I believe, about 6 years, 7 years. But I eventually did it. Um, for me, it was a book that helped me talk about AAR, after action report. And it's like an army term, but military. But you create an after action report. What went right? What went wrong? What are some of the things that worked? What are some of the things that didn't work? Why did you fail? Why did you succeed in this category, but you didn't here? And so for me, when I went back out there and I did that 50 miler, I learned through that experience that you have to, for one, in life, you have to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Nutrition during a 50 miler, what works? Putting glide between your toes so you don't get blisters, small things like that. And I just think I always relate running to life, and I think it is so relatable because you got to learn what works and what doesn't work. You got to learn from your failures, understand that it's okay, you fell short, but how to bounce back. And even though it took 7 years to get back out there, I did it and I finished because I knew and I remembered what the feeling of quitting felt like, a terrible feeling. And then I also learned, hey, you weren't as prepared and you didn't know what to expect. And so I learned how to a setback and how to bounce back through that. And I'm still learning how to do that with the frontline OCR race where you wear 20-pound vests of like setbacks with injuries and things like that and how to come back because I deal with that stuff too. So those are significant setbacks for me and how I went through it and stuff like that.
A significant setback in my life. Right now, And how will I get through it? My friends, because that's what I got. I mean, I don't know. This is probably the biggest setback I've ever had. So I'm just gonna get through it with my friends and my family and just fight to be here for as long as I can.
I'll say for me, I've mentioned this in another life before, but my biggest setback was when I got divorced. That I'm the type of person that once I'm done, I'm done. And that was 11 years ago that I got
Mm.
divorced. And I gave up everything just to get away from her because she was toxic. And I found out that she started doing drugs, and me and drugs, I don't like. So when I found that out, I pretty much gave her everything just to get away from me. And I had to start over. So everything that I worked for all my life, I pretty much gave it away to her just to get away. And I started from scratch. That I I left that house, I left that house and I was homeless for a little bit, and I started my life over 11 years ago, and I fought every single day to, like I said, to have what I have now, and I appreciate everything I have again. So that was something really significant to happen, and how I went through it is just constant struggling every day and not giving up. Like I said, some people start their life once. I did it twice and was able to do it. So
How
the
long did you
battle.
live in your How long did you live in your car, Joe?
Uh, 3 weeks. 3 weeks till I got my next paycheck. That I left. I left. We had a joint account, and the day I left, she closed. She locked my account out, so I had no money. So I literally had like $100 in my wallet, and I had to wait for my next pay period because I was salary and I got paid bi-weekly, and my check just went in, so I couldn't get any money. I had $100, and I had to make it last 2 weeks, and I pretty much slept in parking lots in my pickup truck until I got my next my next pay check, and then I got a hotel room in a really seedy part of Worcester that you could pay. It was a hotel that you could pay by the hour. You could kind of guess what kind of hotel it was. And
It
I
was a
stayed
no-tell
there.
motel.
Yeah, I stayed there un- until I was able to save up enough to get a first class and security to rent an apartment. But yeah, it was about. Luckily, when I left, it was in July, so it was warm. But still cold at night in a truck.
Right.
But
Nikki.
she already said
What?
it.
Oh, describe. Yeah. Well, the right now you said the cancer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I was.
And I can't even think of. I mean, I've had other setbacks, but I can't even think of one that's prominent in my brain right now.
Well, that makes sense. Mommy, Nikki, what to do movie swap like these two are doing with me, of
Well,
course.
sure.
Prince says, reach out to him on Instagram.
Mm.
All
He
right.
does. He reaches me on Instagram with no problems. And I answer him.
All right. How does I, the game I'm going to play is not a game, but anyways, I think I got a few more questions I'll try and run through. How does the ability to be resilient affect the quality of your life?
Mm.
Hmm. I think for me, it's just learning how to fail. I've talked about that so much, but learning how to fall short, like learning how to navigate failures in a better way and understanding it's okay to be hard on yourself, but how to navigate that and handle it and things like that.
Just not sleep on any opportunities to pick your ass up off the ground and do it again.
Yeah.
Like that's the number one thing. Just pick yourself up and keep going.
I would say similar to Bob, but not even failing, but sometimes you setting a goal for yourself, and even if you don't reach it, knowing that even if you make small steps in your life to get closer to that goal, and even if you never reach it, knowing that at least that you tried, and not, coulda, woulda, shoulda, or so. I look at it as you I look at it as you never fail in life if you're willing to put something into it. I feel like the only time you really fail in life is when you don't try, or
Yeah.
when you always say in your head, "Oh, I'm gonna do this," but you don't really do it. You just keep on saying you're going. To
Yeah.
me,
No
as
effort.
long to me, you're never failing if you're putting the work in, even if
Yeah.
you don't get it.
Just keep moving towards that goal.
Exactly.
All right. Let's see here. One more question, then we get to our thing here, which will be interesting because it'll be a little bit more personal, I think. It'll be something different we've never done. When have you felt stuck, and what have you helped? What helped you through it? For me, it was this past year being stuck, and what helped me through it was having friends. Nikki, Tony, Joe, Corey, in reaching out and saying, hey, like Corey did, you need to talk to someone. And then just finally admitting that, hey, I need help. I'm not okay. I'm losing my mind. So friends, honestly, it was friends. It was the people that are really close to you, which is a small group, but there's the people you need in your life that are going to help you get through it. And if I didn't have certain people, I probably wouldn't have. I was in a rough place. You need someone you're going to open up to, and sometimes that's not always your family. You just need somebody, like Corey said. You need somebody.
And it can be a different person every time. It doesn't have to be that same person. It just is in the moment who you're comfortable with and who might offer you what you need.
Yep.
I would say for me, when I felt stuck, what helped me through it, and I'm not going to piggyback. Something that's helped me a lot, and it's something that we've all done: movies and music, honestly.
Mhm.
And it's something that I've said for years. Reason I've never been a big package guy or format guy is because I care more about what's on the disc. And if I can find and why I have such a huge Hallmark collection, it's I like to get lost in a story, and I get tunnel vision. And I try to put myself into that story, and a lot of times it just makes me forget about life and what's going on around. The only time it doesn't happen is if I watch something like Antwone Fisher, that it's like, holy crap, that's pretty close to home. But a lot of times I like to get lost in movies or lost in music. So I just, when I feel stuck, it helps me sometimes get, through things. And a
Yeah,
lot of times I enjoy that comfort.
I definitely have a playlist that I can whip out in a quick minute because there's times that I just need to go be quiet and lose myself in the music. So I'll agree with that. I do that a lot, actually, a lot.
Nikki, is that kind of your answer on that one?
Well, I mean, as far as like when I have felt stuck, I think over your lifetime you just get stuck in several places. And so yes, I'll say that I'm like Joe, reading a good book, pulling out a good movie, listening to a good song, listening to even just a good podcast, someplace else to take myself, and sometimes stumbling upon somebody else's something they're stuck on sometimes helps me get over it too. So that's why I say a lot of times I'll find a podcast and accidentally it'll be related to what I need to hear. So yeah.
Okay. I want to do something a little different. So I have a question. You guys could either get a piece of paper, write it on your phone, or whatever you got in front of you here, or you can just memorize. It doesn't really matter. But anyways, the question is going to be, but it's a twist. Name 3 things that you struggle with, and name 3 things that you thrive at, that you're good at, and how can you improve in the areas you struggle. Here's the catch. I want you to name 3 things about yourself that you think you're good at, and 3 things that you thrive at, and then 3 things that you struggle with that you would like to improve on. But Nikki, and Joe, this goes for you and it goes for me as well. I want you to name 1 thing that you think Joe thrives at, but 1 thing that you think Joe needs to improve on. Joe will do the same for you and me, and you will do the same for me as well, and I'll do the same for the both of you as well.
Oh, I don't like this.
I feel like sometimes I feel like the 3 of us are very good at taking constructive criticism and accountability. And I think it would be nice to hear. I think sometimes you need to be honest with people about areas that you feel like they need to struggle with, or that they struggle with, that they can improve on. So I wrote down 3 things I thought I was good at. It was hard for me, or it was easy for me to write 3 things I struggle with, hard for me to write 3 things I thought I was good at. But then I wrote down something for Joe and Nikki, and I hope Nikki doesn't get mad at me.
Well, you already know my answer. Fuck you, Bob. Fuck you.
So I'll let you guys do that.
While you go through the chat.
Yeah, the chat's already caught up with.
All right.
You said Wimby's hurt, but yeah, I hope everyone's doing well. I'm gonna let these 2 buffoons work on that. But yeah, this is something different I wanted to do. I think it is important in relationships and friendships sometimes to evaluate and talk about things you struggle with, or in a relationship, and it could be a friendship, it could be a marriage, it could be a relationship romantically. What is something you would like me to change about myself? Maybe in look, it's not a personality trait. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what I'm trying to do here. But hey, what is something that maybe bothers me about you, or something like that? And that's, once again, not necessarily something I'm doing here, but I want to talk about just things that we do this every month. We do a stream, we get deep. I feel like we could talk about things that we feel like hey, you're doing good at this and you should know it, and lift the person up and encourage them. But I also think it's important to say, hey, I think you can improve on this. Anthony says the other part of the film that I thought they nailed was that dickhead Navy guy was talking crap to Antwone at the club. Every guy has been put in that position at one point or another. Could not be further, or could not be more true. Absolutely. Oh yeah, you're gay. Your girl's not here. All that stuff. And that's the kind of stuff, Anthony, when I was mentioning that earlier, those are the kind of things. I get it. Like, I completely get it, why you would want to snap. And you're working on your anger. The thing is, he's working on his anger in the movie, and he's trying to channel his anger and his energy like Denzel Washington tells him to do. But then you got some dickhead, like you said, at the club, telling you you're gay, and oh yeah, your girl's not here, and it's hard not to want to snap and kill the guy, pummel him, And that's where I am. I'm like, it's the same with me. It's like I can snap so easy. I have the capability of just absolutely going off on someone. And when I get angry, it's like it's ugly. I know I got you guys thinking here. I just wanted to do something a little different outside the box. But while I got everybody here right now, I'm going to promote some stuff. Next month, I'm going to have Anthony on. Speaking of Anthony and Allie, I'm going to have the both of them on to talk about anxiety. We're going to be doing Perks of Being a Wallflower, the movie Perks of Being a Wallflower. We'll talk about anxiety. And they'll be our guests, Anthony and Allie. It'll be sometime in January. I got to talk to them about it and figure that out. But it'll be a Tuesday night, of course. It'll be in January. And then sometime in February, once again, I will get together with Allie, and I'm going to do her Hall of Fame stream. And that way I have at least a month and a half or 2 months to work on it some more and finalize some things and all that stuff. So it'll be good. I'm looking forward to both of those. Vinicio, I'm not sure. Haven't heard from him at the moment, but I hope he's okay. And yeah. Feel like I'm a teacher right now. We're doing a project or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You hear the typing, which is really cool. It's always fun. Or not typing, but the punching of the pen. I feel like it was hard for me to put something that I felt like Nikki had to work on. You know, not that Nikki's perfect, but she might get really pissed at my answer, but I think she'll.
I'm not gonna get mad at you. It's fine.
I know I put them on the spot, and now it's taking a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Come up with one thing for each of us and 3 things for themselves.
At least the other night when Jeff asked me to record something with him, he sent me the questions ahead of time. So
you know what? Listen up, pal. We've talked about me sending you the questions ahead of time. You don't like it because it's not as authentic, Joe said. It's not as genuine.
This is a little bit different.
It's true. That's true. It's okay. I could distract the chat. I could keep the chat distracted. But yeah. Look at Jeff. Is that like what is that kind of emoji? I don't know, Jeff.
It's a salute.
Oh, it's a salute emoji. Okay. I don't emojis. Like I got a couple go-to emojis. Outside of that, I'm not too familiar with them. Yeah, I think this is episode 4 of this though. We started with depression. Then we talked about depression. We did fear, insecurities, and then we did the resilience today. There's still a lot more. I have them all on my phone. A lot more topics. And there's actually one topic that is similar to this, resilience, but it's a little bit different that I think we could still do. So yeah. I mean, resilience and courage are very similar. Redemption is a lot like resilience, but it is different. I got it on Black Friday for Best Buy for dirt cheap. I didn't get a big TV or anything special at all. I just got something.
Okay,
So,
I got mine.
All right, Nikki. Pressure's on you.
Okay, I'm not sure I like the answers, but I got them.
All right, let's see how we'll start this. Let's do it this way. We'll start with the. What's up, Joe?
I'm saying you want to do 3, 2, 1, and then we'll go around for each of us for each other.
That's good. How about we start with the three things we think we're good at and bad at, and then we'll go around for each other if that sounds good.
Okay.
All right. So I'll start with myself. Things that I think I can use work on would be being a perfectionist and failing. I struggle with that for sure. I talked about it throughout the stream. Another thing that I think I could work on is consistently being disciplined. I have it for moments and I'm great, but it once again it kind of goes hand in hand with learning to fall short and not having to be perfect, and letting it ruin your day or something like that. And then holding myself accountable. And the last one would be losing my anger or patience. Learning to be patient and not get so angry at moments and things like that. And then three things, and this I actually struggled with. Three things I think I'm good at or thrive at, or I'm good at goal setting and planning. I really like doing that and creating a plan. Giving everything to what I want. I'm very passionate. There's that no toes in the water kind of thing. It's all in or all out. I'm very passionate, which can be bad, but it can be really good when I'm passionate about something. And then wanting to learn or understand, I take the time to reflect. I do. Anytime something is said to me, like for example, whatever you guys talk about, I will think about that and sit there and be like, okay, why did Nikki say that? Where was she coming from? Like obviously it comes from a place of love, things like that. So there's a lot to learn. But yeah. So that's for me. Corey's in the chat. His stream is over.
Hey, Corey.
Hey,
Anthony
Corey.
said, Ellie and I can't wait to talk about perks of being a wallflower. I can't wait to see what kind of questions you'll have for all of us. You're very creative with your questions, Bob. I appreciate it. Anthony, I'm very excited for that stream as well. Very much so. Nikki, go ahead. I'll let you go.
Okay, I think the three things that I struggle the most with is being kind to other people when I'm in a bad place. I find myself cutting to the core when I'm just having a bad day myself. And I don't mean to harm other people with it. So I find that since I struggle with it, I usually stay to myself. Following my own advice. Like if I tell someone else what I think will work for them, most of the time I think it's things that would work for me too, but sticking to it and following through, I have a hard time with it sometimes. And giving myself permission to be tired and sick right now. Like I really am struggling with that. So those are the three things I think I struggle the most with.
How about three things you thrive at?
I think I've always been a really hard worker. I think that I am too easy to love and forgive the people that I love, even sometimes to a fault. And I think I'm a really good listener, and so I like to listen to people because I feel like I'm a good listener, and I strive to hear what someone's trying to say, what they need to say.
Well, I can't wait to tell you what I said about Nikki because we just said the same thing. How about that? Nikki and I are on the same page. Joe, how about you, man?
For me, things that I'm not good at is communication. Being pushed. I'm not a person that like to be pushed at doing anything. I like to. That's one thing that's really bad with me. And thinking thinking about myself. Marie's always, you know, pushing me to not pushing me, but saying, "Oh, you should think of yourself," and blah blah blah. And I never think of myself or do anything for myself, you know. And not just like buying stuff for myself, but like you got to go to the doctor, Joe. And blah blah blah. And it's like, yeah, I know. One day I'll take care of it. Things that I'm good at. I'm good at. I'm good at my job. I'm good at when it comes to working. Anything to do with work, I'm good at because I put everything into it. I feel like I'm a good dad. I I feel like that's something that I've been good at, and I'm really big into. I think one thing I'm good at is organization, and I know it's kind of weird, but I love to clean. Those things, but cleaning and organization is always something I always enjoy, and it's relaxing. So those are.
Okay. All right. You ready to pick on Nikki?
Let's go for it.
All right. Let's pick on Nikki for a little bit. Okay. So what I wrote down for Nikki, good, is that she's good at listening and giving advice and wanting to help. She wants to help. Okay. On the flip side of that, here's the thing and this goes for Joe and Nikki. I wrote a lot of what I wrote, you guys are good at. On the flip side of that, sometimes you struggle with something that's almost like counterintuitive to that, and I'll explain. So I think Nikki's great at listening. I think she has no issues with that. I think she gives great advice. And I like that. I personally like feedback. I'm somebody who wants feedback. Some people just want you to listen. They don't want you to say anything. So I think Nikki always wants to help. That's her initial reaction. On the flip side, I think she needs to work on, don't take this the wrong way, but not feeling like you always have to fix the issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote like on the to that is being able to listen to somebody, but not always feeling like, okay, I have to be able to help them or fix the issue for them. And then, like you had already mentioned this, but not lashing out or hurting someone. And I don't want to get too personal, but like you've talked about even with your husband.
Mm.
And
he's always the easy target because he takes it.
yeah. And so I think, and I know I can work on that too, of like when you're angry, it's easy to lash out. And but the funny thing is, you mentioned the thing I mentioned that you're good at, you mentioned, and the thing that I said you need to work on, you mentioned. So let's see what Joe had to say.
It's same thing, kind of a double-edged coin, and I think it's something that, because I don't know Nikki as well as you do, but from conversations and just listening different times, the thing that I think that she's really good with is being there for her family. You see a lot, with her husband, with Jeff, with her grandkids and everything. But on the other side of that coin, I think she's got to put herself sometimes ahead of other things and worry about herself sometimes. Even similar to what she said earlier of, when all of this started happening, she was worrying more about everybody else and not herself. And I think that's something that we both, do it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's kind of a double-edged sword of, you gotta sometimes think about yourself, not everybody else around.
I feel like Joe, Nikki, and I, to be honest, all struggle with not giving ourselves time to ourselves.
Right.
And I feel like Joe, Nikki, and I are very similar in a lot of ways. We have plenty of differences, but I also feel like when it comes to passions or personalities, I feel like we are similar in a lot of aspects. And I think that's why I wanted to do the stream with you guys. Like, we're all extroverts. We all have no issues talking. We have no issues talking about how we feel about people, I feel like, but Joe and I in particular want to keep it in about how we feel about ourselves or like things like that. But yeah, okay. All right. Nikki, hopefully we didn't attack you too much. Hopefully, I don't know
No.
if you could response or anything or could agree or anything like that. Or
I
if
mean,
you
I really feel like you've gotten to know me pretty well, so none of that was out of line. So
all right. Do you want to pick
Let's
on
beat
Joe
up on
next?
Bob. Let's
Oh,
beat up on Bob.
okay.
okay, so mine for Bob. Let's see. My I would say the thing that you struggle with the most is that you're not kind enough to yourself. So be nicer to yourself. And the thing that I think you're very good at is bringing people together.
I appreciate that. I like that. I agree. I agree with the being kinder to yourself for sure, in particular of You're not the only person to say that, and I understand that. And I'm learning. I am learning. I'm growing. I feel like I'm getting better about it.
Well, now that you're alert, you're listening to what you're saying. Whereas before you were just saying, you were spewing.
And I think hearing somebody else that matters to me being tough on themselves, it makes and me telling them, hey, stop being so tough on yourself or stop being so mean to yourself. Or if someone compliments you, take it and don't disagree. I'm realizing like I have that same issue.
Right.
Like somebody saying I'm proud of you and being like, yeah, but I haven't given you a reason. It's like, no, they said they're proud of you. Let them say it. Like, so yeah, I get that. I appreciate that. But I agree. How about you, Joe? What do you got for me?
I want to say I think something that you're good at is I put down that you have drive. When it comes to a lot of things, when it comes to work or when with running or anything like that, you have drive and you're willing to put the effort into anything that you set your mind to. But I think one of your biggest problems is anything that you do that to, you have a problem with following through. You similar to anything, you're it's like you have ADD. It's like you're like that constantly running, then it's like, ooh, shiny object over here, and it's like you forget about that sometimes, and you don't, you get that, like I said, you don't sometimes you don't follow through things. It's like things that we've talked about before, and without going into anything personal, it's just like sometimes we've talked about things, and it's like then I don't hear about it again, and it's like I feel like sometimes you don't follow through with things. That's just like I think that's something that you have to work on,
I
in my
agree.
opinion.
And I do. I mean, I had ADHD since I was in high school. It's like it never really disappears. You just learn to manage it. But that might have something more to do with it than I've ever thought about. It's like staying on topic and yeah, get like you said, shiny object over here. But even beyond that, it's just like when something doesn't go your way, wanting to not pursue it again. It's
Right.
Yeah,
like understanding how to say, okay, there's a roadblock here. How do I get around it and still pursue that?
yeah. I feel like you're too easy to quit on things.
Yeah, that's something I can work on for sure. I agree. I appreciate that. Um, all right, Joe.
I got big shoulders. Let's go.
All right, good. I wrote selfless, being a good friend and a father. I think Joe is a good dad. I think that's very evident. I think it's very obvious. I think he's a good friend to the ones he cares about, and I think he'll go out of his way. He said that before, but I think he's shown that actually, not just said it, but he's shown that he's been there for me and he's tried to help me. And even with like the Airbnb, for example, like Joe didn't want his money back or anything like that after he couldn't go. So he was like, hey, I don't want to make anybody else have to pay more or whatever. So or make you have to pay for it. So I appreciate that. Yeah, and then work on the flip side of that, Joe. I feel like you need to take time to yourself and have a moment of being selfish. It's okay to be selfish for a moment or a day or whatever, to take a moment to yourself. And I think that is important. And Nikki said it too. So, and you said it. And so did Marie.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Joe's let everybody know that's what he won't do.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. Whenever I don't know, I feel like I'm doing something wrong by taking any time for myself. Because even
Nikki,
like there's I was gonna say there's been times like, oh, I want to go do this, and it's like if it's something that nobody like Marie or my son wouldn't like, it's like even though no matter how much I would like it, it's like I'm not gonna do it, 'cause- and I won't do it alone just because I feel bad. I don't know. 'Cause like even Marie with her allergies, she can't eat Chinese food. I haven't had Chinese food since I've met Marie, and I love Chinese food. And she's like, "Oh, you can get it." But I feel guilty eating it even in the house. So, you know, I struggle with that stuff.
Nikki, how about you for Joe?
For Joe, I would say the thing that I admire the most about Joe, that I really think he's really good at, is pushing everything out so he can keep his goals in front of him. You don't let anything stand in your way of what you want to build for you and Marie and Gary. And I totally think that's awesome. Now, what I think you need to work on is, I think you need to remember that you are worthy of having happiness, even if it is only happy moments in time. You are worthy of those things.
That's a good point.
Thank you for the good and bad from both. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's just something I wanted to do differently. You guys mind that little segment or whatever? I don't know what it
No,
was.
it's fine.
Okay. I feel like, also
It-
depends on who the person is. Can you handle constructive criticism? You know what I mean? And I think the three of us can, because we also trust each other.
Right.
I would say it was easy for me to figure out that I had Bob's and Nikki's down quick. Myself, I was struggling. That was the part
Same.
that I was struggling.
I struggled. I put three things I had to work on together like that. I struggled to put three things together that I thought I was good at.
Yeah, I'm good at seeing outward at people. I'm horrible at seeing at myself.
All right, let's go ahead and finish up with the chat and get you guys out of here. Prince just asked what topic would Lane Blackhawk down. I mean, yeah, you could do that. It's just a matter of trying to figure out some ideas. A lot of movies have so many different topics in them.
Yeah.
Prince says, I agree with that statement about Nikki. I mean, we could have talked about Perks of Being a Wallflower for depression, but anxiety works as well. And you could talk about 1,000 different movies for depression. Anthony says Bob is great at having these deep emotional conversations and sharing them with the community. Joe is a tank when it comes to being a provider and selfless human being. I agree. It's funny how, like, when you think about that too, I like orange chicken. When you think about that, like, we touched on a lot of the same things. Like, Nikki said the same thing about Joe that I did, or I said the same thing about Nikki that Joe did, and Nikki said the same thing about ourselves. I feel like we, with all of our flaws and everything that you said or Joe said or I said about you guys, I feel like we're aware of it. That, hey, it wasn't out of nowhere. It wasn't like, oh, I disagree with what Joe said. It was like, I'm aware of that and I agree with it. And I feel like it was that way for a lot of us.
That's when you know you've reached a certain maturity in your life. When you don't get upset that other people see your flaws.
Yeah.
It's okay. We're all human.
Yeah.
And look, this is going to sound harsh, but like, there's a book. It's going to sound really harsh, but it's David Goggins. I don't know if anyone who knows who he is, but like,
sure do.
In the book, he's this is going to sound harsh, but there's a level of harshness to it, but there's truth to it as well. He says, if somebody calls you fat, maybe it's because you're fucking fat.
Right.
And I've always said, if somebody calls you an asshole, maybe you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
People don't just say things to say it for the most part. They probably meant it. If somebody calls you that, it might be because you're being one. And I hate being called that, but sometimes it's like, hey, there might be truth to it. What did you do for somebody to call you that? And it's like for Joe to say, hey, you get off the train track, so to speak, or you have a hard time staying committed to something and seeing it through. It's like, if he says that there's truth to it, why would he say it? So then it's a matter of evaluating, why did he say that? And how can you, once again, figure out how to address that, though? You know what I mean? It's one thing to hear it, but it's another thing to say, okay, that's clearly something that you need to work on. How do you address it? And why was it said? Why have you struggled with that? And how can you address it and figure it out and go from there with anything?
And are you ready to face it?
Yeah, I mean, it's like AAR, create an after action report. Okay, what went wrong? What went right? How do you address it? How do you face it? Like you said. Nikki is a great, Anthony says Nikki is great at listening and being there for her kids and grandkids.
Ooh, I try. I try.
You are. I mean, Joe said it too, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know how much you love Joe to death, and even your stepkids and your other son and everything. So your grandkids too. That is obvious as well. Anthony,
I told my stepson the other day on the phone. We hadn't talked in a while, and he said, "I don't know why I haven't been talking to my best friend." And I said, "Look, I tried to raise all you kids to know that I'd be your best friend, so you'd trust me for your whole life. That's all. It did, just trust me, because the rest of this world will shit on you."
yeah.
Sure.
Anthony says I like it when you shake up the questions and throw in curveballs, Bob.
Right on.
Yeah, just try to do something different each week. I guess I left that up. Okay, well done with that. Uh, I actually have one thing I wanted. So I was, I don't just come into these and willy nilly it. Like I actually try to understand. I study the movie in a way. Like I write down, I take notes, and then I try to
Mm-hmm.
like understand resilience. And so something I came across reading was Doctor. There's a guy named Dr. Kenneth Ginsberg, I believe is his name, but he talked about the seven C's, and I thought this was really intriguing. And I'm not like there was a whole lot more, but I wasn't going to write everything down. But basically, the seven C's, and I'll go through one at a time, are competence, which is handling situations effectively through skills and strengths. And there's a lot more to it. I just once again cut this in half or like a quarter of it. Confidence, believing in your own abilities, which I think is very true. Connection, having strong, secure ties to family. I think Nikki, you're good at that. Character, a solid moral compass, and values, including empathy as well.
Mhm.
Contribution, making a positive difference in the world by helping others. Coping, developing and using healthy strategies to manage stress and also change, I believe is the word I wrote. Control, you have choices and can influence your life and environment. Understanding that you have choices and can influence your development. So those are the seven C's, and I actually like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty good. But that's everything. That's everything tonight. That's all we have. Um, sometimes I write the questions down and I realize, oh, I have a lot of similar questions here, so I can cut them in half. But yeah, it's just a matter of trying to figure that out. But I'm looking forward to the anxiety discussion for Perks of Being a Wallflower. I'm excited that Anthony and Allie are excited about it. I think it'll be fun. We will do it sometime in January. I'm not sure when. We'll have to figure that out along with Joe and I's live stream. And then also we'll have to figure out when I'm going to do Allie's Hall of Fame stream, but that'll be sometime in February. And I have a lot to do for that. So I've had to push it back and things, but I want to make sure I get it right. And it's a fun one. So I haven't done a Hall of Fame in over a year. So I want to make sure it's a good one. Yep. That's everything though. So I appreciate everyone who was here, everyone who watched, everyone who commented. Prince was in the chat a lot commenting, listening from work. Pain equals growth. Mad Ange says 66. Teamer with Eco releasing tomorrow. Oh, nice. That's exciting. Joe says, Merry Christmas, everyone. Anthony, thanks for being in the chat. Johnny was here. John Doe Juggalo's been here, Jeff. So I appreciate everyone who was watching. Some people watch and they don't comment, and that is cool as well. Appreciate you just watching and hanging out. It means a lot. So like Prince says, we'll see everyone in the new year. Nikki, before I go, Joe, did you guys have anything you wanted to say, or no?
I just want to pretty much what I said in the chat. I hope everybody has a good Christmas. Spend time with your family. Enjoy yourself. And until we meet again.
Yep. And Alex I have been here at work listening. I hope everyone has a great holiday season. Yep. Nikki, anything you wanted to add or no?
15 days without a cigarette today.
Yeah, I saw that on Facebook. 2 weeks you put or something along those lines. Yeah,
2 weeks last night.
Said it's getting easier.
I mean, I'm still using my little vape here, but I'm
you
on
said
the lowest. I'm on the lowest nicotine, so that's good. So
good. Congratulations.
Thanks.
See you in the DMs, Princess.
You betcha.
All right, everyone. Have a good night and Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas.